The American cinema in recent years has become politicized and also very commercial, focused on mass audience with average or low intelligence, on a consumer who makes the box office. Hollywood now is less about art and more about entertainment show for kids or campaign rally. In such circumstances, there is a chance for the film industry of countries that were long suppressed by Hollywood's domination. The best example is Parasite by Korean film director Bong Joon-ho. There are many misinterpretations of this film. First of all, who exactly is Parasite here? Yes, the poor Kim family has infiltrated the wealthy Park family house, but they work for them, not idle. There is another opinion: a rich family parasitizes the poor, but this is also wrong. Mr. Park earns money with his talented mind. He does not steal or exploit someone's labor. On the contrary, he creates as many as 4 jobs only at home. So who is the real parasite in the story? At the beginning I'm going to remind briefly the upper level metaphors and meanings.
Это все метафорично.
Это точно.
First, there are visible spatial levels. The hill where the Park's house stands, the basement that hides the secret resident, the Kim's underground apartment, and the stairs that connect the levels, the top and the bottom.
Я уже 1000 лет не ездила в метро.
This level system also has an additional concept: upper and deeper semantic levels of the story. Second, the lines that visually separate the poor and the rich. This is a border that cannot be crossed. But I've got a question. Is it a social border or primarily psychological?
Ты целуешь меня, а сам думаешь о чем-то своем.
Я вписываюсь в эту жизнь.
Third, the two families seem to be reflected in each other. There are both a contrast difference and a mirror similarity between them. This is a good way to compare any phenomenon. Fourth, everyone noted the idea that failure of the Kims was due to the lack of a plan.
Знаешь, какой план никогда не провалится? Тот план, которого нет.
But since we compare families, do the Parks have such a plan? Why are they successful, unlike the Kims? Let's talk about errors of interpretation. The rock, Min-hyuk's gift, is often called a symbol of deceptive hopes and betrayal. This is incorrect. The rock is a lucky chance for Kyu-woo. If you put aside the mysticism, the rock allows the poor boy to feel involved in the world of successful people, to feel himself included in it. He has no money for university, no connections, no opportunities to climb the social ladder. But even in this situation, the chance still appears sooner or later. The main thing is to be able to use it. This is a solid rule, or the cornerstone of the life order. And of course, in Korean culture, beautiful stones have additional symbolic meaning.
Мой дедушка собирает камни гунши еще со школы. Говорит, они приносят удачу. Этот, как сказал мне дедушка, приносит в семью материальное благополучие.
Even after getting hit twice with a rock, Kyu-woo was incredibly not killed, because the rock is his materialized luck. In the end, Kyu-woo and his mother did not receive a prison sentence by court, and this is also his luck. Another mistake made by the interpreters is that they believe that Kyu-woo went down to the basement to hit Gensei or his wife, former housekeeper Mung-wan, with a rock. Kyu-woo was a kind boy. He was going to pass on the rock to the family of the basement resident, so that it would bring them good luck and prosperity, because his own family was already secured. But the rock fell from his hand, because this chance belonged only to Kyu-woo. It couldn't be passed on to anyone. Even worse, if you give up your destiny, you turn it against you and risk losing your very life. The saddest thing is that Kyu-woo eventually gets rid of the lucky rock, leaving it in the river. Rock and water in the film are two elements, two natural forces that generate opposite impulses for Kim family. The heavy rain, it washes to the ground, pushes back, washes away from the path, floods the home.
Кто здесь? Это вода из канализации! Ах ты, черт! Мы окна-то закрыли!
Rain makes the Parks return home from camping and destroys the deceptive Kim's idyll in their new home. The rock is a foundation, a solid ground under feet. The truly mystical moment comes when the rock floats out of the water into the hands of Ki-woo.
Что ты вцепился в этот камень?
Это он сам в меня вцепился.
Not a rock, but a chance for a better life that the kid can't hold. The film begins with shots of a basement window and drying socks, and ends with them. Ki-woo returned to the point from which he had started. His dream of buying the house of architect Namgoon and bringing his father back into the world is just a ray of hope. But in reality he doesn't know what to do, and having such a plan doesn't help, because this plan is ridiculous.
Университет, карьера, семья. Это все, конечно, хорошо. Но сначала все-таки деньги.
It is as empty as his father's plan.
Знаешь, какой план никогда не провалится? Тот план, которого нет. No plan.
The socks hang on a round dryer. This is a metaphor for a vicious circle. Another example of a metaphor completely overlooked by critics. When Ki-jong throws her panties under the car seat, we see two men, apparently taxi drivers, fighting for the right to work at the point. This illustrates the blow that the girl deals to Yoon in the struggle for a material resource. Another example. Ginsei stabs Ki-jong in the heart with a knife, and she responds by smearing the cake on his face. This is a metaphor for combining comedy and tragedy in one story.
Мы уже на другом уровне. Ух, это все так метафорично.
Have you noticed that all Kim family are talented and capable people? Kim Ki-taek is a driver with almost no experience, but he drives real good. Chun-sok can cook a special dish for mistress in a few minutes. She also has a medal for hammer throw. Ki-woo and Ki-jong are excellent actors with educative abilities.
Что ты вчера наговорила хозяйке?
А черт его знает. Я почитала в интернете про арт-терапию, а остальное насочиняла.
Пап, постой. Смотри, у тебя эмоции вот на таком уровне. А ты попробуй опустить их вот до сюда. Соберись, ты должен быть весь как кулак.
By the way, Ki-jong could make a strong manager.
Я не веду занятия при родителях.
Ну, сегодня у нас первый день, и он, как видите,
Подождите
не очень...
внизу. Я бы хотела поговорить с госпожой наедине.
Ничего, она нам почти
Нет. Оставьте нас.
Forgery of documents, falsehood, impersonations. These are their methods of getting a piece of bread. Imitation is one of the ways weak creatures survive in nature. Let's be honest, in today's society many people, even entire professions, exist through deception or by monetizing the false value of their work or the overblown market value of their business. But no one calls them parasites. In contrast to the Kims, the Park family has no visible talents, except for their father. His talent is enough to feed all the heroes of the story. But the talents of Park's wife and children in such orangery conditions are not motivated to identify. So why is Mr. Park successful without any plan, and the Kims are not even able to create a plan? The reason is the father of the family. Kim Ki-taek is the bearer of a typical psychological script, a destructive injunction called "don't do." We don't know how he got it, but Kim Ki-taek preaches it to his children, programming them to fail forever, so this is an inherited scenario.
Если ты составишь свой план, жизнь тебе обязательно подгадит.
The Parks are not medieval aristocrats. Their high status is not determined by birth. Also, the low status of the Kims is not set by state or tradition. There is no psychological abyss between Park and Kim, just a thin line, but this detail is enough for them to be on the opposite social levels. The bearer of the don't do script is a type of a person raised on fears and prohibitions. Behind any opportunity in life, he sees a danger of collapse.
Вот почему нельзя строить планов. Если плана нет, значит он не сорвется.
Every step forward makes him apprehensive. When there is a chance to change things, he needs his family to push him to the goal, but at the first failure, he pulls everyone back. Therefore, he is not capable to create a working plan. Eventually, Kim Ki-taek meets his double, Gen-se, and not randomly he takes his place in the basement. This pair of characters, Kim Ki-taek and Gen-se, are the parasites. They parasitize their families. Without his loving wife, Gen-se would have starved to death or ended up in prison.
Выходит, вы таскали продукты с кухни, чтобы накормить мужа?
Вы что? Я все покупала на собственные деньги.
Kim Ki-taek also lives off the work of his family. He is completely passive. Left without their motivation, he simply steals food from the fridge of new tenants. The real parasites in modern world, with its social elevators, are not social groups or classes, but the unhappy people incapable to develop, deprived of initiative and diligence due to their subconscious failure scenario. The three heads of families constitute a triangle mirroring a social system. What is Mr. Park's role in it? For him, nothing is more important than invisible border that low people can't cross. This is his philosophy. Don't overstep the line. He never explains why.
Он часто доходит до самой грани, и мне кажется, вот-вот пересечет, но не пересекает. И это хорошо.
Please note, Mr. Park and his family do not see the Kims when they hide, even under their noses. Only their smell betrays the poor people. The smell crosses any imaginary border. The mental barrier makes the Parks blind. They don't see that someone else's dark will has entered the house, the will they can't control. In the end, this blindness leads to the death of Mr. Park and Ki-jong. Note that these two deceased characters are two of the most talented in both families. Gen-se is completely degraded. He is satisfied with the life of a parasite of Mr. Park, whom he idolizes. But it is him, the poorest, the most incapable, the most self-deprecating, who one day becomes the force that deals the fatal blow to the order of things. This is the only political note in the film, but it is very clear.
Мы точно как Северная Корея, со своей красной кнопкой.
Сегодня наш возлюбленный вождь Ким Чен Ын.
For the mainstream of world culture since the 19th century, the important motive was the pity for poor people, the need to help them. The images of fair-minded and honest poor man and his antagonist, the swaggering rich, have become cliché. Parasite is the first serious attempt to hint that everything is not so clear and the cause of poverty may be hidden in poor people themselves. In the Park family, everything revolves around the youngest, Da-song. His father loves him more than anybody else, driving his daughter Da-yu jealous. The little boy is destined to become his father's continuation, a successful person standing at the top of the system. He is wayward and naughty, but the family follows him. For example, they leave the campsite because Dasong was crying. All the conversations in the family are about the little boy, but Dasong himself is an absolute white crow among the Parks. He runs out of the house and sleeps on the lawn. In his Americanized environment, he prefers the image of an Indian, that is the enemy. He has not yet formed as a part of vicious system, and he is challenging it. Note that Dasong sees more than others. He is the only one who sees Gensei. He deciphers the Morse code light signals from the basement. He is the first to feel the unpleasant smell of the Kims. He is not blind like his father yet.
Что он делает?
Дасонг, не надо так.
О! Одинаково! Они пахнут одинаково!
Kiwo is his double. He also has not yet become like his father. He is adventurous and hardworking. He can also challenge the system. He declares himself a scout as well as Dasong, and he also escapes from the walls of the house to the lawn, and he sees secret signals from the basement. The sad point of the film is that these abilities are temporary, and children will ultimately be integrated into the system, just like their fathers. Not only father, but also mother affects psychological shaping of Kiwu. It is she who transmits to him the wrong idea of wealth, saying that money makes people better.
Не богатая, но добрая. А добрая, потому что богатая. Понимаешь разницу?
Trying to climb to a new level, Kiwu compares himself with Minhyuk. His way of progressing is to become Minhyuk, that is someone other than himself, and thus to free himself from the part of his personality that restricts him. The whole family will follow the boy, playing the new life roles. There are 4 couples in the film. Ki-woo and Da-yu are teenagers who have a romantic relationship. Kim Ki-taek and Chun-sok, they are together for their lives. They often talk rude to each other, especially the wife to her husband. Chun-sok gets mad at his passivity.
Только представьте, что пайки сейчас и войдут сюда. Что сделает ваш отец? Убежит, как эти чух-чух-чух-чух тараканы.
By the way, Ki-woo inherits her audacity.
Главное это дерзость. Дерзость.
And Kim Jong inherits mother's attitude to their dead.
Эй, папа! Давай, беспокойся за нас! А? За нас! Не за какого-то Юна, а за меня!
As I said before, the relationship in this couple is parasitic. Kim Ki-taek gives nothing to his wife and children. He only takes, although he is content with little.
Черт. Вот же твари.
Parks are a younger couple. Mr. Park works hard, while his wife takes care of the house and children. Their weak point is Park's focus outside of the family. He is more interested in doing business. Kim Ki-taek sees it and hence his questions about love for wife.
Моя жена совершенно не умеет вести хозяйство. Убирается спустя рукава и готовит ужасно.
Но вы ведь любите ее.
The driver feels the good attitude of his boss and wants to be completely open with him as a friend. The complicated relationships with their wives make two men similar, but this is where the line is drawn. Park talks to him about other things kindly and openly, but he prefers to remain silent about his problem with wife. He tries to ignore it, and he feels angry when the driver points it out. This is a completely different border than the one that Ki-woo sees, which confirms that all the borders here are only mental. The last couple are the housekeeper Mungwan and her husband Gensei, a parasite on her. They have nothing left in their lives but each other, and the feelings inside this couple are the most sincere. Their love is genuine. Gensei goes off the rails when his wife dies.
Слышали про архитектора Намгуна? Он знаменитый. Раньше он жил в этом доме. Сам его и построил.
The house is a metaphor for social system, and it can be understood more broadly as a metaphor for the whole world, the habitat of humanity. Its creator, call him an architect, built the house and left the new residents without warning that there were secret places in it. Once upon a time he launched the system, and it worked without failure. If the transitive family, the Kims, have not appeared, the parasite would continue to live in the basement, and the upper people would suspect nothing. Ki Woo and Ki Jong hid this system, but Kim Ki-taek put everything back on track. As a result, the house got new owners, and a new parasite in the basement. But the system itself has not changed at all. The viciousness of the system, therefore, does not originate from the house, but from those who inhabit the house. The Kim family is heterogeneous. There's a hidden conflict of generations within it, a conflict of progressing children against parents who deny progress. This is why the Kims threaten the system in which the Parks and the Gensei coexisted peacefully, but the system is stronger anyway. And yet there is a hope. After all, the nature element of Ki Woo is a rock, a solid matter on which the foundation is built. The element of Kim Ki-taek is water, which may be strong and even carry away the rock, but it cannot destroy it.